Hey everyone, my name is Balraj Gill, and in today's vlog, I want to talk about duality and oneness. So, in this spiritual world, you have may have, I don't know, heard of the term duality. So, what duality means is when you see yourself separate from another individual, basically. There's like dual aspects or scenarios, perspectives, whatever. And in human life, we all want to come to oneness, basically. That's like the gist of what that's the gist of what Jesus was always saying. Like, treat your neighbors like they are your own. He's talking about oneness. Don't see people as separate from you. Not your brothers, not your mom, not anybody. So, I'm going to give you a recent example of that, which will maybe help those that are on a spiritual journey understand duality a little bit better. So, okay. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is not understand duality a little bit better, but the feelings or the aha that comes when you actually experience true oneness. So in order to get to true oneness, the secret behind it is forgiveness. It's always forgiveness. When you can forgive and you look at the other person's perspective and you actually can sympathize and understand and still love them and send them like a lot of love and light, that is what oneness is. And I don't talk to my family. I don't talk to my mom. I don't talk to my brothers. And for the longest time, I would give my mom forgiveness. I would give my brothers forgiveness, and I would hope that they forgive me for whatever I've done in their eyes one day as well. And I thought that for me, in that instant, I was doing a release. So not duality. Forgiveness actually works in chunks. You go through phases with forgiveness, in my experience. So for me, the way forgiveness worked was I would send them love and forgive. I would ask for that back, like in my meditation, or if I'm at the gym, or if I'm doing yoga, I would hold space, and that's what I would do. Because what I found was, it took me time though. It took me a long time, years, to come to where I am today. And the space that I'm in today was interesting because I think I was sending forgiveness in the past, but I was still holding on to some hurt. And then something just switched, because when you actually send love and light and forgiveness, because you do understand, and you have to truly understand the other person's perspective and why they just don't see your perspective. And I truly started understanding, the more I would say, like JC's phrase, Jesus Christ, his phrase of forgive them, God, for they do not see. Forgive them, God, for they do not see. Forgive them, God, for they do not see. That is what that's the mantra that I would hold in my own space when I was doing yoga for 90 minutes. Forgive them, God. And who's God? I'm God. I'm part of God. My higher self is a piece of source. So I would literally say this mantra to myself, and it took time. So what happened was, when I would say this mantra, forgive them, God, for they do not see. Forgive them, God, for they do not see, I truly, truly started opening up my heart space, and the ego started dying. What I was holding on to and thought they had done to me started dying. It started fading. It's just a long, distant memory now. And then I'll never forget, one day when I kept saying this mantra, what happened was, something just switched. All of a sudden, I felt all of this love for my mom and for my brothers. Like, I felt oneness. That is when the duality completely went away. And I could see, because I could understand in the past, like, why my mom is the way she is. I know her childhood. I know, like, she didn't have a mother figure. Her dad was kind of like a dick himself to her. The stepmom was no good. So she really didn't have a lot of parenting, motherly love, not even from her dad. Like, I get all of that. I understand it. So I got it, but I still saw her as separate, as dual, because she still did the same shit to me. Even when I tried to like communicate and talk to her, I never got through. And it wasn't literally until, and this for me happened a month and a half ago, maybe, when I was sending them and forgive them, God, for they do not know what they're blind, they do not know what they do. That was when this like transition within me happened. I guess I went through true forgiveness, and I'm saying I guess because I'm still trying to figure it out. It was this like overwhelming feeling of love, joy, gratitude, happiness, peace, reason, observation, and I felt sympathy for her. In the past, I had never felt sympathy for her, ever, nor my brothers, ever. But this time around, I felt sympathy and I felt love. So that is what oneness is. And that is when you know you've broken the barriers of duality. And it takes time, because your ego is like, it's like this little bitch that never goes away. It's like literally trying to like knife you slowly, and the ego is very, very, very tricky. I'll give you a quick example of the ego. I'm going to do another vlog on it, but the ego is so tricky, where I have been working on releasing my ego for years now, and I'm there. I think I've bumped from 80%. I would say I'm 80% spiritual, 20% ego. I'm going to bump myself up to 90% now. And when I say bump myself up, what you have to do is you have to really start recognizing the ego. And once you recognize that's what the ego is, the ego's power diminishes. It just, and your soul expands more. Now, when I started recognizing the ego from little things, like the ego is fear, basically, like your low vibration, shame, guilt, fear, grief, all of that is ego. So I started recognizing fear and I started pushing it away. Okay, this is my ego. I'm fine in this moment. So I started giving the ego less power, less power, less power, less. Then, and this is literally when my duality thing, my oneness happened, was because the ego's power was diminishing. Sorry, my throat. The ego would come into my mind's eye. So instead of being aggressive and giving me fear and scaring me, the ego began to come into my mind's eye as, oh, please, God, this is what I need. Please, God. Now it started coming into my mind's eye as begging. And it wasn't until the same time, so a month and a half ago, I caught it. I was like, fuck off. Fuck you. I recognize that even that, like when you're talking to God in that guilt type of fear-based manner, that is still your ego. Even though you feel like I have no other choice, I need to pray, but you're praying in begging, that is just subtle way of your ego still trying to have an in. And it wasn't until I told my ego to fuck off, even at that moment, that the whole oneness thing started happening. So now that's why I give myself props and I say I'm 90% spiritual and 10% ego, because I'm able to catch that ego, even the little, it's so sneaky. Your ego is so sneaky. Anyways, hope that helps. Love you guys.